Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. Don't change your timing. It is Monday. We're making sure it's Monday. New day, new time. Well, not new time, same time, different day. Ashmatic analysis moved to Monday. Ash, you well?
Rastafari, man. Rastafari. Hey, listen. That was a bit of atmosphere in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for once. You know what I'm saying? Crazy, that was crazy. But listen, my guy, hey, Xavi, you see it? Xavi scored a goal. He's got the old school hairstyle, you know, like Riley.
Yeah.
He just had that old school afro when he went viral on social media. I think we need to see that, Xavi. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed, man. I'm good. I can't. Yeah, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's, just, I don't know. I've actually been quite relieved that Spurs not been playing this week. I don't know why. It's probably the first international break I've actually enjoyed.
Yeah, I hear it still. Well, it's back to business now, man.
Back to business and back to the big one.
Hey, 5 games. We'll talk about it, man. Anyway.
Mate, we'll definitely talk about it. Anyway, let's bring out our panelists first, and then we can start getting into this. But as per usual, as normal, Oren, you well?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm good. You guys well too?
Mr. Banos.
Yeah. I've got everything all wrapped up here. It's cold over here. Cold and damp. This color skin ain't meant for this shit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, cool, man.
And let's bring out tactical genius. JJ, you well?
Hey guys, thanks for having me back on.
Big up, man.
You need to come back on before NLD, mate, because we need to know how we're gonna beat these wankers. But yeah. So, do you know what? Let's get straight into it. Look, we come off the Manchester United game, probably fully deserved a point in the end. Probably Man United will be more disappointed out of the two. But we've got the big one coming this week. But we're not at home, which
Hopefully it'll be a bad thing, but
yeah, it could be a positive.
You're right.
How are we feeling? Like, because obviously Thomas Frank, like Touchwood, is still unbeaten away from home. It's against probably at the present moment the best team in the league. Like, I hate to say it, they're top. We have to give them their flowers where it's due. However, in their last game, they were bullied by Sunderland, is the best word to put it, and they looked vulnerable.
Yeah.
But can we do anything this week? And can we sit there and can we go and get a result? We've already played them in a friendly in the summer.
We did well.
And did very well.
We did well.
I think it kind of got us all overexcited to think how the season was going to pan out. And then we played Burnley and thought, yes! And then...
Wait. Before that, we played PSG, though. We played
PSG.
That was good. Do you understand?
Was good, yeah.
And I think what happened was, since then, we haven't seen a formation change. I think that's where a lot of fans are a bit disappointed. Because I was going to ask the guests, like, what... Before we even go into it, I was going to ask them, like, what has disappointed you about Thomas Frank the most? Because the back three thing, a lot of Spurs fans thought that might suit us. It's going to be different to what Ange has had. Talking about Sunderland, they had like a back three as well, or back five, really, a 5-4-1. And they really struggled to break that down. And it took a massive Trossard, top bins finish to kind of unlock that. But yeah, you guys, what do you think, man? What's been a kind of like, oh man, I wish Thomas Frank did that differently, or I thought he was going to do this, or do you know what I mean? I know what you're going to say. It's only 10 games in, 11 games in. I get it. I get all of that caveat. But was there something you thought, I think he missed a trick there? Anyone can start, bro. Oh, you go.
Go ahead. You go, Oren. You go.
Right. Okay. I would say like my one gripe was him playing Polina and Bentancur. I made that very clear. But then after thinking about it, I realized, yeah, it's probably because Romero was out injured. It was to shore up that middle. But I think Frank is, like I said, earlier as well, that he is pretty much rotating the squad, still finding the best position, not changing anything drastically, because you've all seen, how that could happen. And he's making Spurs a team that they're not as open. And I think it's weird to sit here and hear Spurs fans or read Spurs fans saying it's a disappointing season. Like Spurs are, I think, top 4 at the moment, Bill. Fifth. Still going well in the Champions League, unbeaten. I think he's doing a job that is maybe not as wow, it's amazing, it's great, but it's quietly being done. And in truth, if you look up with Ange, the first 10 games, wow, amazing. Then and then last season, the same thing. So I think maybe Thomas has brought his personality to Spurs. It's like, right, we'll like Brentford. Brentford were a surprise because they didn't, you never went, Brentford was amazing. They were playing great, but they were just getting good wins. They're professional.
Wait. Are we Oren? Because I said, what are you not happy about with? Yeah. Are you saying you're? Because I'm not.
Yeah, I'm happy with Frank. Yeah.
I'm not saying what you expected from Frank. Because
I'm happy with Frank. Yeah.
But I'm saying, is there one thing you would change a little bit different, like to say, you know what? Because there's no, let's face it, that the away record, like you said, can't complain, innit? In terms of results, but in terms of performances, playing styles, all right. For example, a lot of fans have been saying it's been boring. Do you understand? So in that sense, I'm saying, you mentioned about the whole Paulinho and Bentancur, but then you said because Romero was missing, maybe that was the reason why. But is there anything else that you could pin down? You think, you know what? I think we need to Frank needs to change it up a little bit to make us a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Again, no. I think what he's doing everything he can, and again keeping Spurs in the top 5 contention. And as I said, at hindsight, I was looking at it and think Bentancur and stuff, but I realized, look, I'm not a manager, so yes, I'm a fan, and I did say my criticism, but then I think I also said,
hold on, am I telling you this stuff?
Yeah, it was kind of like it was kind of like, you see, I could say, oh, he shouldn't play Richarlison, but he has to. You know what I mean?
You've got no choice.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if he had Solanke and he wasn't playing Richarlison, or say he had Kuleveski or Madison and he wasn't playing them, or I wasn't seeing enough rotation, then yes, I could. That would be my one gripe. It's why isn't he rotating these players? But he hasn't had the chance to. So I think for me personally, if Frank has, say, next season or end towards the last 2 months, and he has the full squad, then I can expect him to do things differently.
Just on that, sorry to cut you, bro. Sorry, and anyone can come in at any point and interrupt me. But against the PSG game, right, when we played 3 at the back, right, we played Romero, Van der Ven, and Danso at the back, all 3 that are available right now. And Dragushin is basically back.
On the grass.
He's on the grass. He's basically on the grass. On our bench that day, we didn't have Dragushin. We had Ben Davies as a substitute. Do you know what I mean? But we still went for the back 3. I think the only argument I could probably say is Archie Gray was on the bench as well. He could possibly play centre back, but Frank went with a back 3 there. And then up top, the 2 he used was Richarlison and Kudus. Is there an argument to say he could play another striker there, maybe like a Tel? Or is that you guys disagreeing with that? Anyone can have their
Go on, JJ.
Look, it's difficult. If you're talking specifically about the game coming up on the weekend, you could argue this is a game that we could go to 3 at the back. But if just looking at it from the outside, the way that Arsenal have set up throughout the season, predominantly in a 4-3-3, that matches straight up against what we would play. So I don't necessarily see why he would go into this game not having deployed a back 3 since pre-season and then go into it. He's dropped into it a couple of times late in games, but not you know, it's not a system that he's deploying from the outset. My feeling is that he faces them up, but he'll play it as a reactionary kind of defensive, quickly dropping into a low mid block, try and sit in, try and do something from set pieces, try and play transitionally. I can't see him going to a back three in this game. Obviously, I stand to be corrected, but if he was going to do it, the only thing I'd say is that I think he would have done it. I don't think he's had the opportunity to do it during the season. I actually expected that he would. I thought he'd come in and at times he would deploy it. At times he'd play a midfielder in there. And at times he would go to a back three in different games. But I just don't think he's had the players available. If you think that Dragushin's been on the side, you know, with his injury, Takai came in, hasn't been able to play, hasn't been able to train. Davies then gets himself injured. And then you're basically down to Romero, Danso, and Van der Ven. You need to leave someone on the bench so that you've got rotation minutes. You've got the ability to play 2 games a week, 3 games a week. So for me, I don't think he's had the opportunity to put it down and do it. He probably hasn't had the opportunity, therefore, to train it. And so I'd be surprised if he deployed it in a game like this. I think 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 matches up, you know, against what Arsenal would do. That's just my impression.
The only reason why I'm saying it, because obviously I'm hearing murmurs, obviously, in the fan base. Some people get frustrated because we do have Porro, who is a wing back from Sporting Lisbon. That was his trade, the up and down wing back. And Udogie at Udinese, he was an up and down wing back. And so some fans are saying Frank's system, or he has the players to play a system of a back three. He's had back threes at Brentford. We saw it against PSG. Arsenal struggled against Sunderland because they were back going against a 5-4-1. Wouldn't it make sense for us to deploy that? And like, that's where some fans' heads are at. Do you know what I mean? Go on, Oren.
But like, what fans look at the Sunderland, how Sunderland, they were physical. Doesn't matter what formation they played. Man-on-man players. They fought. They made it a dogfight for Arsenal. They didn't allow Arsenal to get settled. So it doesn't matter. I understand formations and tactics, but he can play 3 at the back. But like JJ was saying, you know, we forget that Romero was out injured for a while. And so, you know, didn't have. And as for the wing backs and playing, you know, Pero and Destiny, we forget that Destiny's been injured. And I don't think Spence is a wing back on the left.
No, he's not. No.
So therefore, he hasn't had the opportunity to play that 3 at the back and then 2 wing backs. Plus, in the league, it shows that formation, you know, yes, you can change it up, but if you have a base formation, you stick to that, and you can revert back to like a 3, which he has done, back 5. But I think against Arsenal, I wouldn't surprise me if he played like, you know, Bentancur, Polina. I think Sarr got injured, so he won't play him. Maybe even a Bergville.
I think he's had a concussion.
Oh, concussion? Who?
Yeah, so I think the rule is now. It's
okay.
No, he's missed his games, but he hasn't. I don't think he's been playing for Sweden either.
Yeah,
he's not fully recovered.
He asked,
right. Okay.
He asked the manager as well.
Yeah,
like, no, not to play. So I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was more serious than Spurs made it out to be, but basically.
Right. Okay. Well, I think Frank might go for a big team, be physical, be right on top of Arsenal, just try and bully them, not let them get playing. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And
so do you think, like, because obviously Sarr went off injured, but do people think that might be like him faking it, or Spurs saying to him like?
Well, I don't know. Is Sarr? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Has Sarr played again since he went off injured, or?
So it was on a weekend at the Emirates where he played Brazil. He went off with injury.
Yeah, has he played again, or?
Since
no, he'll be back with us now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So maybe he is. We'll wait and see. But then he got Xavi, who scored 2 goals. So
yes, that's what I'm asking. Because I'm saying, would you lot, like, all right, you're in Thomas's position, would you lot go for Sarr as a midfielder, or would you go for Xavi? Anyone can answer.
I know I'd go for. I just wait. I'm intrigued to know what you lot go for.
Do you go for like the double pivot, like what we've been playing, and then have Sarr in the 10, or would you have Xavi and play. And he's heard the fans booing when Xavi got taken off against Manchester United.
Maybe you play Xavi on the left and then Sar as a 3.
Well, a lot of people complaining about because Odegaard played well against.
Yeah, but again, Odegaard falls over. Like he'll just get bullied.
And he hasn't really played well away from home.
Yeah,
apart from Monaco.
Like
Monaco was the only away game he's played well in. The rest of the games that he's played well in,
yeah,
being honest, the ones at home.
I think fans who they have a crush on him or something, because like Marlon said, when I've seen him play, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like he always wants to cut in and scores, but I think the guys who fans like him because it's like, oh, he's cute or something. I don't know, because it's probably not his talent. Just I don't know why fans are bigging him up like he's the next. He just gets knocked off.
You don't rate on about it. You're not impressed by him. No,
I think he's just too light. I've already said I think that he could potentially be another Brian Hill. Unless he bulks up.
Brian Hill level.
Yeah, no. Whoa. Brian Hill wasn't the skill. He had the skill. He always had the pace, but he never had the build. He always got knocked over really quickly, easily.
JJ, what do you think? Are you agree with this?
In terms of who I'd play?
I'm talking about. He's talking about
Odegaard.
Wilson.
Wilson.
Odegaard being like Brian Hill. Is that
no? Let me clarify.
Lightweight.
Let me clarify. I'm saying body-wise. His physical. Physically, yeah, he gets bumped up the ball very easily, like Brian Hill did. And that was his problem. Brian Hill needed to put on weight. He couldn't, and he got knocked off the ball easily. Even to a certain extent, Xavi gets knocked off the ball, or what do you call it, Liverpool? Verts. He gets knocked off the ball easy. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not saying he's skill level of Brian Hill.
All right, cool.
Yeah. he's trying to turn his He was trying to whine it.
Bro, easy. Everybody breathe. Composure. I'm just saying, JJ, on the left, who are you having?
I don't disagree necessarily with playing Xavi off the left. I don't obviously follow that lot, but from what I've seen from the highlights of what they do, they tend to draw their midfield quite narrow and quite far down. So I think if we want to get numbers across the middle of the pitch and we want to outnumber them in the central area, then you just bring one of your wide forwards in. And so for me, Xavi, very naturally, he'll play off the left, but he'll drift into the centre. It'll give us an extra man in that area if we can find pockets of space.
Who would you have in the midfield then, if Xavi's on the left?
I think he goes with Paulinho Bentancur. I think that he's shown that that's his favourite double pivot and he's going to play off that. So for me, if he plays the 4-2-3-1, he will play with those two at the base of it. And then if Sarr's fit, Sarr can go in the number 10 for running power. If Berival is not under concussion protocol, he can also play that position as well. And then obviously Kudus, right, he's going to play off the right hand side.
Let's assume that Sarr is injured. Let's assume that he can't make that game. And you're saying Xavi's on the left, you've got Bentancur and you've got Paulinho in the base. Who's the number 10 for you?
Berival, if he's not under concussion protocol, right, he'll go in there as well.
But he's in the
he'll go in the 10.
But I'm saying he is. That the point I was making before. He's got the concussion. So let's say
he's out.
Yeah, so he's out. So Bogval's out. Let's say Sarr is injured. Who's playing in the 10 is what I'm asking them.
Well, it'll have to be Xavi.
And then who's on the left?
Has to be Odegaard. That's what I'm saying. He has no choice.
Itself, yeah. It's like, you're literally down to the bare bones.
Or would you not consider Tel on the left as a forward? And inside and then shooting on a stronger foot, like playing that. You know how for Brentford he has who's he got for Brentford? The one we were linked with for a little bit on the left hand side. I thought his name's gone off my head.
Not Sade.
Yeah, Sade. Sade. Yeah, from out to in, like Tel does out to in runs. And he uses him as as a forward as opposed to as a winger, like a touchline. Plays him as a forward instead. Do you know what I mean?
Could be.
I'm just saying as an alternative.
No, it could work, but I do think that if it's going to be if it's going to do that, more than likely you'll play Richarlison.
Yeah.
What, Richarlison on the left?
Yeah.
Who's up front then?
Will be.
There's number one.
Oh, he's here. Richarlison has to play. Richarlison, I think Richarlison calls up his Brazilian mates and go, here, Mom, do some chicken cut off heads and stuff. How does he always get opportunities like this? I don't get it. Even for Brazil, he's playing. It's like, why? Maybe we're seeing something we're not. I don't know. So Richarlison has to play then.
So the question is, because obviously at the moment, I don't think Gabriel's playing either for Arsenal, correct? He's injured as well. Yeah. So look, Gabriel basically in the last 3 North London derbies has got man of the match, I believe. Yeah. So look, if there was one player I didn't want Richarlison up against, it probably would have been Gabriel, but Saliba without Gabriel could be questionable. But obviously Saliba is still good enough. So in this situation, the team kind of picks itself. It's more going to be, if we are still in the game, how the sub's going to work. Because we're going to have literally no one to bring on apart from Tel at this precise moment.
Yeah. Tel could play the 9, right? Tel could play the 9, Richarlison off the left. But if you want to, we've struggled to play down the middle of the pitch. So you play Richarlison up front and then Tel or Odegaard off the left-hand side.
Well,
Johnson. Is Johnson fit?
Well, this is the other question. Yeah, Johnson's fit. He couldn't even get into the Wales team that had a front 3 and they were useless. And he can't get into that.
Or because then he could play Johnson on the right, Kudus as a number 10, Richarlison on the left, or Tel as a left, and then Richarlison in the middle. Because then you'll have that.
Xavi on the bench.
What?
Xavi on the bench.
No, Xavi.
Oh yeah, or Xavi. Sorry, yeah, Xavi can play on the left. Richarlison with Kudus as a number 10 and Brendan Johnson as a right. Could do that.
This is tough. This is what we're going to the Emirates. When you think about it logically, right? Considering that Arsenal are complaining about all their injuries, and you considering what we have to put out there, it's night and day.
But the thing is, it's going to be interesting because it's always been weird. I don't know if you guys have ever picked this up. Whenever Spurs has an amazing attack, they've had a shit defense. When they've had an amazing defense, they've had a shit attack. I think it's only like 3 seasons under Poch where the whole team was good. So I think the defense will be able to contain Arsenal. It'll be in the middle. And I think that's where it's, can Bentancur and Palhinha form a partnership that can stop Rice?
90 minutes as well.
Yeah, for that, yeah.
And Zubimendi. That's going to be the tough.
Yeah, and I think like whoever he plays on the front 3, no matter what, that's just going to have to hope. But I think Frank said he likes to play Johnson because he can run in behind, and so he might play Xavi there. But fuck, he should just try Johnson as a number 9.
You reckon? Is anyone else?
Yeah, what else have we got to lose?
Yeah, to be honest, I can see it because, again, Arsenal are going to be missing players, and even if Richarlison goes up front, what is he going to do up against that defense anyway? So we just got to throw some shit somewhere and hope it sticks.
Because if you look at Johnson, like, I know he gets criticized because his end product, as in crossing, he can't beat a player, but you see his movement. He knows where to put a finish, and I think that if he was to get more games in that solid position, I think that he would flourish. I really do. He cannot hold the ball up, but he can make runs in behind. Xavi's the type of player who doesn't like to play passes to feet. He likes to play it in behind. And if you have Kudus as well, Kudus is a player that will make runs and get the crosses in. We see Richarlison's not good at running in behind. He's not good at holding the ball up. He's good at maybe closing down, but Johnson can do that as well.
Does anyone think that Kudus, because he's so good at retaining the ball, and especially like from goal kicks, he's able to like bring the ball down? Johnson hasn't got that ability, but does anyone think Kudus should play closer to Xavi? Because Xavi, I've seen lately really pull to the right kind of half space, especially like against Chelsea when he had like one of his better games. I saw he was in that right space quite a lot, and I'm just thinking, do you think he should play closer Kudus, or should Kudus play closer to Johnson? Again, that physicality, he's got that slight issue. So we somehow use Kudus as a catalyst to help other players, hide their deficiencies, for example. So maybe, all right, to make it clear, Kudus could be either secondary striker just behind Johnson, or you have Kudus on the right wing as per usual, and then you've got Xavi in the 10, but on the right-hand side with Johnson playing middle.
Just to add to that, I think we need to put Kudus up against Calafiori.
Yeah.
Because nothing against Kudus. Every time he's come out of that position on the right-hand side, even when he against Paris, he wasn't great. He didn't really do much when he went into middle. And when he played on the left for half the game, again, he struggled. He seems to be just more comfortable on the right. So at this present moment, looking at the matchups that we're going to have, maybe we just need him up against someone physical so they can bring Lewis Skelly on.
Yeah.
In that scenario, because I think Calafiori could, look, this is me saying it now, I think he could struggle against the Kudus because Kudus likes to keep hold of the ball and he's a very different to the right wingers he's played up against. It would just be, it's just going to be the rest of the park where then I think you're kind of right in the sense of you probably do need Xavi to play closer to him, but as soon as Xavi goes in that middle, he's going to drift that to the left. So which means he has to be closer to whoever's going to be on that left, and Richarlison's not going to be the guy. And you might be right, it might be Tel.
Unless, like I said, unless Tel, because sometimes Odobert, one thing I'll say, even though he's a left winger, he kind of drifts into the middle sometimes. He kind of and I was thinking if Odobert was to drift in the middle, then Xavi won't go into that space because Odobert's already there. Then maybe Xavi would drift off to the right. And then you've got potentially two like offensive players centrally. Do you know what I'm saying? Compared to when we was playing against Man United, like Xavi was by himself and he only had Richarlison to make that forward pass to. And now you've also got Udogie, who can also add width. Do you know what I'm saying? On the quick transition. So in my head, I'm thinking, maybe we could go down that route. Do you know what I mean? But just to finally say, I agree with Marlon. I think whoever plays left back, I remember it was Kudus versus Skelly. I remember they were having a battle, even though it was a friendly. I was like, bro, you sure it's a friendly? Because they were roughing each other's feathers. But one thing I've noticed with Arsenal, Skelly or sometimes Calafiori, they like to wander. So they kind of give them like a free roam. Sometimes you'll see Calafiori in like the 10 position. And you're like, what are you doing over there? Or we'll see him on like, the right wing. Like, why is he in the right wing? He's the left back. So I'm just thinking maybe Spurs could take advantage of that. Maybe have a player that's going to occupy that space, and then we can just do the
especially if, well, it depends though, because actually at this present moment, if Gabriel's missing, it's likely that Lewis Skelly will play, right?
Yeah.
And Calafiori will go next to Saliba. And then Timber on the right.
But they still have Mascara, but I know he's right side of centre back. And they still have the Hincapi guy.
Oh, we forgot about him. Oh,
even though we're saying, we could just do it. No, they got Hincapi.
Hincapi, yeah. Who hasn't really played, though. That's the only benefit. He hasn't really played.
I think what it is, it's like almost to play against Arsenal, I think Sunderland did it. They just played rough. They played nasty, took them out of the game. They have to make it ugly. And Spurs can do that because Spurs doesn't have to be the one to make it. What?
Can we really make it, apart from Paulinho, can we really, and Romero, can we make it ugly? Do we have the players who have that characteristics to make it ugly? Because this was the thing when I was scrolling, after the Sunderland game, because I missed the game, and I remember scrolling through X, and a lot of Arsenal fans and I saw it tweeting, "Oh my God, we got bullied, we got this, we got that." So I started thinking about Spurs, and I was starting to think, and this is a question that goes to everybody: do we have the sort of team that could go out and bully the players, compared to what Sunderland may have? Because they're probably used to it. Where,
as much as I'm not a fan of Richie, I think he's got a lot of shithousery about him. So he could potentially be,
but
that winds up people.
But he'll wind up people. Like for Richie, for me, he winds up people, but he doesn't do it in the football sense. So when you say
Yeah.
bully, we want you to bully. We don't want you to whine. We kind of want you to get your foot stuck in. For me, Richie winds you up, but he doesn't really want to get his foot stuck in.
Yeah, he's not going to bump. He's not going to leave like a little knockout on the defender or like, you know.
We don't have any players like that.
Well, this is why I'm asking the question to you guys, because for me, that was the first thing that came to my head was we found a weakness in Arsenal.
Has a little bite to him.
Yeah,
he's got a bit of fire in his belly.
Well,
defensively, yeah, he's a rock. And then, like you said, Romero, and I think that's rubbing off on Van der Ven a bit. Like Romero.
Yeah, with regards to the back four, I think they have it, and I think that's where it's most important. That's what I was referring to, like Sunderland, rough, you know, Xavi, Trossard. But I think that the other key element for Spurs is getting that ball back to front very quickly. Don't let Arsenal have time to set, and it could work. It could be like a counter attack. And you were referring to Kudus. Like, the thing is about Kudus, great at dribbling, but I wonder, like, if he can learn when to dribble and when to pass, he'd be really good.
I agree.
Really, really good. He just holds on to the ball a little bit too long, and I think when the occasion is big, he wants to show off even more. So it's kind of like, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if Kudus goes into, right, I'm a one-man band, I'm here to impress everyone, or is he able to like find Xavi and make 1-2 passes and all?
Done that West Ham, didn't he? Really? He
Yeah.
He tried to take the shine off Bowen when Bowen went up top, and he just didn't really perform.
Yeah, we need, like, I think Kudus is showing, because a lot of West Ham fans were saying like his end product is rubbish and he tends to be selfish, and we're seeing that. Like, he just
we have seen that. Yeah. I agree. We have seen that.
So that's where I think, like, Johnson, he can't cross it, so he's not like he's being selfish. He just can't do it, but he can't finish. You know, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the bully mentality, I think, like, as long as Perro, Spence, whoever plays the back four and the two midfields, I think that's what I'm referring to. That getting them off the rhythm. Defenders aren't going to really, you know, you don't need to bully the defenders as such. And we know Richarlison. Yeah, like the comment says, he can wind up Spurs fans, but you know, he can't wind up. And Richarlison's a hothead too, so you know, all it takes is the Arsenal players to wind him up. He starts sulking. He's off his game plan, misses chances after chance. Yeah,
well, I think the question we need to ask, and JJ, you can answer this. What would you say Spurs' strengths are to kind of negate what Arsenal are bringing in terms of? Obviously their ability on the ball. What would you say Spurs' go-to strength is?
Well, it's interesting. This is effectively, you know, Tony Pulis A against Tony Pulis B, right? This derby at the minute, right? And as good as that lot have been this season, they're not free flowing and they're not playing brilliant football in all their matches. So. Yeah, set pieces, right? So relatively evenly matched, but you say they're still ahead and they're still playing better. So we're really going to have to beef up and be absolute. For me, a derby is always going to come down to a few key things, but this one particularly, no mistakes, right? So if Tottenham are going to counter what Arsenal are going to try and bring, I don't think Arsenal are going to necessarily be there to blow us off the park unless we are making individual errors. So zero out the individual errors. Really, really first and second balls, because we've heard Thomas Frank say it time and time again in interviews. So we know that he goes in there and it's part of his framework is contesting first and second balls and where you're going to do it. I don't think we will deploy a high press consistently, but I do think there are moments to do it. So if you think about the best bits of the Man City away game is the second goal. So knowing and identifying when to deploy a really high press. So it might have come in a moment where the team has had a good attack, but it's ended with an Arsenal possession. And that's the moment the team is high and they decide to go for it. And if they do go for it, they go for it in numbers, right? So that I do think you can get Arsenal by doing it. And then, the rest of it is who wins the transition battle. If we're going to sit in mid-low block and we're going to allow Arsenal possession of the football, you've got to allow them possession in front of you, because I don't think they're that much of a risk as long as you can see them and they're in front of you. And then after that, you've got to make sure that you move the ball quickly. So forward passes. So some of the stuff we saw in the what was the game that we played that we actually scored a couple of goals?
Copenhagen.
Was it the Copenhagen game where Johnson scored from out wide?
Yeah.
Forward passes, right? Forward passes, not side to side, not more, don't fancy it, I'm not brave enough, and we go backwards. Our rotations are not brilliant. We don't get players in and around each other to support each other to move the ball forward. So let's be a bit braver and a bit more positive. Let's move the ball very vertically, very quickly. And we know that Thomas Frank does enjoy that as well. So yeah, set pieces. Can we do something and can we keep them out? Can we transition better than they can and keep them in front of us and no individual errors? That's, for me, that's the game plan. That's the framework.
Yeah, because Arsenal have only scored, I don't know how true this is, 8 goals from open play this season.
Jeez.
Yeah. And considering they've scored 20, they've only scored 8. So you're kind of looking at it going, as long as we can stop the set pieces.
Have they conceded from set pieces? Because that was the one thing in the friendly that stood out, that Spurs employed the same tactics at corners as Arsenal. Really disrupted.
I think they've conceded 1. So something in my head says they've conceded 1, but not many. They haven't, because a lot of people haven't put it on them like we did in that friendly. Yeah, and I found that really strange that no one else decided to pull up that tactic. And I do agree with you, because we literally played them and Raya struggled. I remember he was struggling with it all on top of him, but no one else played that against him. So I don't know, and especially
Gabriel is out, so that defensive backline might not be as
But,
so it'll be interesting. Here's a question to everyone.
Go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
We all know Frank has got this criticism, but hypothetically, let's live in the fantasy world for a second. What if, what if Spurs beat Arsenal? What would be that? Do you think there'll be a change?
Kudus and Tel was the score. Like,
it doesn't matter. Beating Arsenal, even if they did, it'll be like, don't matter. I don't care if they scored. Richarlison scored a bicycle kick, won their goal. I don't care. What do you think the narrative would be if Spurs beat Arsenal? Because it's something Spurs haven't done in a while.
He gets more time to fix the home form.
Okay.
Simple.
I think that would be it, because people will look at it and go, that would be 5. Was it 5-1? I can't remember. I think, don't know how many won away, but that would be the record, and there'd be 0 there. And we've gone to the north. We've gone to the Emirates, where they're top of the table. They're cruising. It looks like they're going to win the title. Unfortunately, at this present moment, unless Man City can do something,
ain't going to win the title.
So, but if we were to go there and beat them, Frank will get more time at home to fit, because people are looking at it going, actually, he's had a bad start at home. He's known for bad starts, and it just seems to be whatever happened with Ange and what happened with, who was our manager before Ange?
Conte.
The home form's always been terrible.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest. And even under Mourinho, it hasn't been great. So he may get time to fix that, and maybe people will start looking at it slightly different.
This is actually Arsenal's block time. Around this time, Christmas time, Arsenal always fade. Like, they start losing matches or drawing matches. It happens every season.
Yeah, well, if that happens, I reckon that might wake them up in the transfer market, possibly.
The problem that I have with this season, and I do agree with you, they will. The problem that I have with this season with the whole Premier League is that there's been too many drop-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Liverpool have completely dropped off.
Yeah.
Manchester City have been up. They've not been the Man City that we know.
A great start. I think the back-to-back losses against us and Brighton.
Yeah. But they haven't been playing the football. Like, for me, it's all been about Haaland and nothing else. Mm-hmm. Now, usually with Manchester City, it's not about. It is about Haaland, but it's about the rest of the team. And with Mamouche coming back and stuff, I'm hoping that they can keep it going.
I just think they went through a transition where they were playing without a striker for a very long time. And they went through a transition where they found it hard when Haaland first came, because they weren't used to playing with a striker. And then now it's gone full circle where they're becoming more and they're more looking for Haaland. Do you know what I'm saying? So then I think they need to just get, like you said, with Mamouche coming back, a few of these players that they got in January, you're now starting to see them kind of, starting to see what they're about. So Turkey, obviously, he's a summer signing. He's starting to get his, you know, his beak wet. And then you're seeing baby Rodri and Gonzalez. He's starting to dictate a little bit. He started to, him and Silva in the midfield, they're starting to move things around. They're looking very, very safe and secure in possession and they're able to move teams around. But yeah, going back to Arsenal game, it's going to be interesting because it was something that JJ said about Spurs need to play the ball a lot quicker, start playing those passes either into space and being a lot more useful in transition. But at the same time, I think it's like a gift and a curse for Spurs because we are, according to this graph, have had the most missed controls. So the number of times players have failed when attempting to gain control of a ball, we're top of the league in terms of how many misplaced balls we've had. And I'm starting to think, is that maybe because we are trying to play a little bit quick when we're trying to play the balls long in behind or we're trying to get over? That breaks down, for example.
It's been played to Richarlison. He can't control it.
You think all of those numbers are from
not all. Yes, actually all of them. Yeah, I think it's basically like not just Richarlison.
Yeah.
But like I said, Odegaard, the ball bounces off him. Johnson, the ball bounces off him. Because if you look at the three, other than Colin Milano, who's injured, Spurs don't really have like three attackers who are very good at trapping the ball and holding the ball up. They need to either be running onto it or get the ball, have space to run, to dribble. They don't have players who can like stop the ball in one go. And, you know, even Kudus, yes, he can stop the ball and he'll dribble. But, yeah, he can only do that for a certain period of time before he starts losing it or it bounces off him or, like, they don't have a retainer. Like,
what do you think, JJ? What do you think is down to these miscontrols?
I think that the team, there's been a lot of players that haven't had loads of minutes with each other. We've not got a settled side, right? We've not seen one or two sides that you say, okay, these are kind of the players that are going to play in these different style of matches or like home and away. This is what you're expecting to see. It's not been settled. You can see the coaching staff are still searching with the players they've got available for what they think works best. Players haven't had minutes together consistently. New players coming in, Xavi having a hard time with maybe the pace of what's going on in the Premier League. And then lots of players not performing. Richarlison's fallen off a cliff. Up until recently, Odegaard wasn't having a great time of it either. And yeah, we don't look to play with a great deal of bravery, which is earlier on you said, what's your biggest regret? For me, it's the lack of bravery in our side. And I don't mean getting up and fighting and you know, stand up rows with the opposition. I'm saying play football, play a way that the fans are going to get into and we're going to enjoy, and show us that you've got an idea of how Tottenham are going to play as an attacking team. And we haven't really shown much. So yeah,
so just on that point, sorry, JJ, is that down to the players or is that instruction from the coach? Where do you stand?
It's both. It's both. Like, it's a really big bugbear of mine. It's number one. It's gonna be coaching staff, and it's their job to be out there on the training field and putting down the principles, right? But when you get to this elite level, the players themselves have to take some responsibility. You are there because you are the 0.1%. You are the best of the best. No matter what anyone feels about these players, they are at the sharp end of the pyramid. And you've got to be able to figure it out on the fly. You've got to be able to do something on the football pitch at any given moment. You're given a situation, you've been given a framework by your coach, but you've got someone running at you, you've got a system, you've got a ball dropping out of the sky, whatever it is. You've got to have the quality and the awareness and the ability to do something in the moment. And I feel like too often at Tottenham, our players don't take responsibility. They hide behind the system. Yeah. And then on the flip side of it, clearly the coaching staff have not yet got our attacking kind of tactical setup and our patterns working. That it's just not there yet. We can see what we're doing, like bang it down the right hand side, hope that Kudus holds onto it, or get in an advanced position, Porro crossing from a half space, or Kudus 1v1 against the fullback. That's it, right? We've seen success. That's about what we've seen attacking wise. Yeah. Aside from that, not a great deal else. So for me, there's a lot more needs to come.
What do you guys think then? Like Arsenal aside, is Thomas Frank's philosophy, not philosophy, but what are the principles that he leads by? Is he a player? Is he a manager or a coach that wants to? Now, obviously, he wants to, impose himself with possession. Because I was looking at some of the stats and our average possession stat, I think we're the 6th highest team in terms of possession. But for a lot of people, they think that Frank is trying to bring Brentford style football to Tottenham, and a lot of fans said, "We're not Brentford. You can't do that with us."
Yeah, but a lot of fans said Spurs aren't Celtic. You can't do that with Ange. So it's that happy medium of what do Spurs fans want. And I think Frank is more setting up the team, certainly to play competitive, not to lose. But like JJ said, and I'm certainly a voice for this, once those players cross the line, yes, you have the rules, yes, you have the thing, but even when we played football, yes, we weren't professionals, we weren't elite, but we understood where to be and how not to be. If we were a midfield player, we would want to get forward to score a goal. We would dribble, whatever. So I think that when you have elite players, what makes the best players or the best teams is that, yes, they'll follow the manager's instruction, but they're also able to break and think for themselves instead of just being robotic and just following. I don't think it's just a Spurs issue. I think it's an issue that's growing maybe in football where it's, right, let's just be robotic. Let's, the pressure of getting booed or getting criticized or, making a pass. So I do kind of understand that. But I think Frank is like, right, defend when you have to, attack, pass, be brave. No coach can be responsible if a player looks up, sees a ball he can pass, and he chooses not to. If he, checks back, that's not on him. That's on the player on the pitch who thinks, I don't want to do it, or I'm not brave enough to do it.
Do you think, like, as someone's putting the comments about we rush too much whilst playing, do you think we have an issue with tempo setting? Because there's times when you need to play the ball quickly, move the ball quickly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Unlock, blocks. So you've got your low block, as we know, you need to move the ball quickly to shift them from right to left to create gaps. And then an opening happens and you create a chance. I guess that's what Arsenal are going to try to do to us, what we try to do in mid to low block. But then equally, is there times when you need to slow it down to hold and recycle the ball and just get a foothold of the game, and then also to change the momentum? Do you think those instructions are being lost? Is that down to the coach more, or is that down to the players more? Like, do you see what I'm trying to say? Which one would you lead on? Because I feel like that miscontrol thing has to do with, and JJ, you can go first, and then obviously Orange, you can go on.
Yeah, listen, definitely you need to be able to control tempo if you're going to be a team that's going to be successful, and if you're going to put yourself down as a team that's going to dominate other teams. There's moments you do it, but there's also ways that you've got to do it. So it's all very well slowing the game down, but you've got to have control over what you're doing. So slowing the game down and then giving the onus to the opposition to then come onto you to press or to box you in or pen you in is not going to do you any good, and it's certainly not going to do you good if you're going to play against what we have to admit is a superior team right now, kind of 1 to 11 and squad wise. So there's no good in Tottenham kind of being like, okay, we're just going to knock it around the back, we're just going to take the sting out of the game and then draw Arsenal on, because they'll be very happy to do that in this particular game. But you're right in terms of there are moments where you want to control the tempo, you want to slow it down in terms of how quick we're trying to go back to front. So just probe, come back out, move it around. Probe, come back out, move it around. There's definitely reasons to do that. And it's just to, as you say, get a foothold in the game, but it's also to give yourself a bit of confidence. But most of the time in Premier League football, you've still got to be moving the ball. The ball won't be static. And to move the ball, you've got to have players who are making themselves available for the ball. So they've got to be getting into positions to do that. So you still need movement, you need intelligent passing, and you need a bit of bravery, which I referenced before. All of that is part of slowing the game down, not even the speeding it up bit. Now, if you want to do the speeding up bit, you identify when those moments are, And that's a little bit down to players on the pitch identifying when that time is to really go, and then you go and you commit to it. And again, if you kind of half backside it, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get success at this level. You might beat Burnley, but you're not going to beat Arsenal. So again, there's times to do it and identifying it, but you really do have to commit to it. And then you've just got to have the quality to execute. And again, we've seen this season, we are not executing. Too many mistakes, too many errors, not completing your stat that you showed on the screen there. We have to do better. We have to tighten that up.
So, what do you think the approach should be then going into this game against Arsenal? Should we approach this game like, what Ange used to say, you just approach it like any other game, to get out of the shadow of Arsenal being, our biggest rivals, whatever, and we just need to go and be on the front foot and like just bring the game to them? Or do you take this game and respect the opponent and you adapt to them, like Thomas Frank has alluded to? You adapt to each situation completely different.
I would say approach the game, don't concede in the first 20 minutes. Play against exactly like, maybe it's not the same formation, but what worked against?
Would you say that's slower then? If you don't,
no, it's not. I'm not saying slow the game down. I'm saying be disciplined for the first 20 minutes. I'm not saying like.
Does that mean no long balls then? Because discipline.
No. As in both. Play long balls if you need to. Play short balls if you need to. But be disciplined when it comes to defense. Because if you can contain Arsenal, get them off their edge, the fans start to get quiet, and that's the key. So, like for me, as I said before, like with JJ, tempo is important, but that's down to the player. And we'll see a perfect example, because if you watch Declan Rice, yes, he's an Arsenal player, but he's also a very, very good midfielder. He knows when to be on that ball. He knows when to set the tempo. Maddison was also good at setting the tempo. He would do 1-2s and bam, he's off. So that's what you need, and you need runners. So I think,
who's our tempo setter?
That's it. We don't have one at the moment. Well, it's meant to be Bentancur, and he's more than capable of it. But I think Bentancur goes between playing fast or playing really slow.
So what's Xavi then?
Well, Xavi hasn't fit. I think Xavi should be, but Xavi's still excluded from my thoughts at the moment when it comes to like he needs to. I think he's going to show that he can be that player. But I think, like I said I think it was last week with Xavi, because Xavi always passed to Kudus, or he'll always pass to someone he knows, because he looks at Kudus and goes, "You're a baller." Johnson, he'll pass to Johnson making a run. I think with Xavi coming in, I think the players need to understand him. He doesn't need to understand them.
So do we need to build around Xavi then? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah, I think eventually. Like,
does anyone disagree with that? By the way, because we're allowed to, have different opinions on this channel. Does anyone disagree? We don't build around Xavi.
The problem we've got at the moment is that we've got no one else. So until Maddison and Kula are back in the team, we kind of.
All right. So is that our priority then in January, that we go out and look for a tempo setter, or is there other?
It's like I'm that's the thing. Like, yeah, I know. Because you have
we need a left.
Left winger. But then again, I
think that's key to everything.
Yeah, left winger.
JJ, what do you think? Is that the priority? Like going for the left side, or a tempo set? Or you would say the left as well?
Yeah, left hand side. Even though we're stacked in terms of players who can play there, we're not blessed in terms of difference makers in that position, right?
Yeah,
a tempo setter is. At the end of the day, if Thomas Frank does show us something in terms of how he wants to progress the football, we've got players that can do it. Bentancur, and again, I'm massively biased because I absolutely love him. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's being deployed far too deep, far too often without the ability to break that line. And you can still play a 4-2-3. You can still be a double pivot and be allowed to move forward. And the only way we're going to progress in that midfield triangle is if players get off each other's lines. You cannot have a double pivot standing next to each other and successfully progress the ball unless what's in front is elite at holding the ball up. So you punch it through the line, and Xavi or Richarlison or whoever's playing left or your striker can hold it and then bring players in. Otherwise, it doesn't go.
Sorry to cut you, and I'm not trying to set you up or anything. Would you then say that is on Frank because if they are staying on the same line and you're standing on the sidelines and you can see they're on the same line or more or less, and you need, because the double pivot is meant to be, correct me if I'm wrong, a blend between a 6 and an 8, right? You're meant to do both jobs really well. And what you'd want is one breaking forward at times to help the attack. And him being that same line, shouldn't Frank be yelling at him saying, listen, I need you higher up. And when you receive the ball, I don't want you to be playing it safe or looking sideways. I need you to get the ball, look forwards, and then punch it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, like, I think he does tell Bentancur that, because when I was going against Bentancur would start off the game and he would be doing that. But then I think what happens with Bentancur, his energy levels drop, so he naturally drops deep, and then the second half he gets a bit of more energy. But the one thing, I think Bentancur's best game was against Copenhagen, and it got me thinking. He didn't have Polina to be safe next to. He didn't have Polina just to go, here, you have it. He had to actually be the one covering and playing deep. And because he knew that, and because he knew he couldn't have a side mate to pass the ball to, he had to pass it forward. He had no choice. Against Chelsea as well, what I noticed again with Bentancur, I'm not slating him, is that there was a couple of times he wanted to go backwards, but then the fans start booing and he turned around straight away. Okay. So I think that, and I think he did it with another game as well. I think when I'm watching it, I think even in Copenhagen, every time he went to play the pass backwards, there was a murmur from the fans. It was like, no, I got to play it forward. I just think that with Bentancur, I think it's an energy issue. I think he's not a Sar who can go up and down. So with Bentancur, he can start off as rightfully be next to Xavi, attack the box, but then his energy, like I said, his energy levels drop, and they have Polina who's not able to do that.
Yeah, but is Bentancur being asked to play that way? Because I've always been the case of Thomas Frank has been telling us for weeks Bentancur's playing well. He's playing exactly how I've been telling him to play. But then every other fan's been complaining that he's not doing this, he's not doing that. But Frank seems to be well impressed with what he's doing. So
yeah, in those games though, as I said, Bentancur, I've noticed that Bentancur does get forward in moments. After the first half, for the first 20 minutes, he gets forward.
Yeah,
but then he drops Steve normally. But again, as a manager, it's the same way as Frank would say, I'm very, very happy with Richarlison, with what he does and his work. I think Frank, you have to remember managers.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm asking, so I think you're right in the sense of what you just said. You use Richarlison as a great example, but Richarlison gets dropped from the team when there's a moment to put Bentancur in. Well, Bentancur, Paulinho in that middle without one of them. He's always opted for Bentancur. He's never opted for Paulinho. Well, I know Paulinho's dropped back in defence twice, but the European games where Paulinho's been on the bench, he's gone for Bentancur.
Because he probably thinks that. But I think Bentancur is better suited European games because the energy's not as high consistently. Whereas when he played Bentancur against Copenhagen, he then played Paulinho against Man United. And I still think that the reason why he was playing both of them was because Romario was there. I'm not saying he's not going to play both of them tomorrow or against Arsenal, because Arsenal's a big team, but I do think that he knows that he needs energy, and I've always said I think Bentancur, as good as he is, and of course the double injury messed him up, but I think that he's good for European games. Because
all right, so do you think that was the right decision playing Sar ahead of him?
Yeah, because Sar has energy, or it would have been Bergville. I think Bergville would have been ahead of Sar.
You think? Okay, cool. So you think Bergville should be ahead of Bentancur?
One of the two. I wouldn't say ahead. I would say if you're playing Paulinho, you can't. I don't think against teams other than Arsenal, it's not. We've seen it. It's not good to play both of them at the same time. So which one are you going to play? And it's good for rotation as well. So if he decides he's going to play Paulinho in the Premiership and Bentancur it's offering experience, and then he's able to play. But then again, I personally think that the best player who can play in that position is Gray, but he's injured.
I thought the issue was, everyone was saying last week, it was the width that was the issue, because a lot of the players that we had tend to drift in. Like Richarlison on the left was more narrow, so he almost played with two up top. And what's interesting as well, because I look back to last season, not last. Yeah, last season it was Thomas Frank at Brentford. He got a 1-1 draw against Arsenal, and I think he played a 4-4-2. Funny enough, so I think maybe against Man United he thought, let me see if I can, deploy a similar tactic, and that might, it might work, but obviously it didn't.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, but again, it is that, because again you look at it and go, right, it didn't work. But if Richarlison had scored that goal, that slight header where I've never, like, yeah, if he'd have scored that, we're talking about different, because I think if Spurs had taken the lead, it would have been a different scenario. So yeah, like what he decides to play, but we'll find out on Sunday.
It's interesting because in this graph here, when they did draw 1-1 at the Emirates, Thomas Frank, 4-4-2, Damsgaard, who I would say is like the Xavi of our team because he's meant to be the 10, he's playing as a left-sided midfielder. And then on the right, who's going to be like a Kudus, he's got Mbrumo. That's who I'd like profiled the two similar players for. And in the middle, you've got Yenalt and Norgard, which is basically Paulinho and Bentancur. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you look at the graph there, there's 4 players from Brentford who stands out the most: striker, 2 defenders, and the goalkeeper. So if Spurs had a Wasa, which they don't have, cool. Because all those other players there, they might not have shone like with regards to what they did, but I guarantee every single one of those players in the yellow fucking worked for each other and defended like crazy.
Well, I'm going to throw a little bit of spanner in the works because, he went for this formation. But if you actually look at Arsenal's team that he had to play against that day,
I suppose,
I'm going to sit there and tell you, I'm looking at the lineup now, he should have got a better result.
Fair enough.
So, Thomas Partey was right back. Kiwa was centre back. Tierney was left back. Jorginho played in the middle that day. Zinchenko played in the middle that day. Wanyeri, Trossard, and Martinelli.
I suppose that's not right.
None of them apart from Saliba, Raya, and Rice. Everyone that lineup is weak for Arsenal.
So we're facing a completely different team.
A completely different team, and even as their second team, like if you went up against that and you got a 1-1 draw, or if Spurs got a 1-1 draw, we would be disappointed.
To be fair, they give them trouble. When I watched the game, they did give them. They should have.
He did give them trouble, but the stats didn't really go in their favour, is it? Two shots on goal.
With that, guys, I'm gonna have to shoot on. Always a pleasure. Hopefully, back on here, I'll be talking about 2 wins. No, 1 win. Yeah, because you're Monday now, so Before, All right. See you later. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Bye.
Nice one. So, guys, what do we think about this? Everyone's talking about it. Are we team Semenyo at the moment, or are we team? Who's the other link? The other player? Ndai.
Both.
We won't get. I'll take both, but we're not going to get either of them, are we?
This is pointless.
We're not going to get either of them. The fact the links have come out now, we're not getting.
Scrap that. Would you have one marquee signing? Let's suppose we've got 100 million. Would you just like say, look, I want one marquee signing, splash like majority of the 100 million on that marquee, that quality player, or would you break up that 100 million into like parts? We've got like 33, like 30 million.
No, because that's what we're dealing with at the moment, right? The fact that Odegaard costs 30, Tel's 30, Johnson's 45. We're dealing with that at the moment when you actually you kind of need another Kudus.
So we need to step it up in the market. You'd rather spend the majority of the 100 mil on that one.
Not but in the sense of it doesn't have to be like, say, I'm not saying that it has to go and be a marquee signing, but it has to be someone who's going to change the fortunes of this team.
Well, I'm saying that because January is a difficult market, and to get that level of quality, you're going to have to pay over what you. So that's the reason why I'm framing the question Also, I'm trying to be difficult. It's YouTube. I'll make it
But I don't think you are paying over. I did hear something about Njai. He's got a release clause as well. Is that right? Do we know if he's got one? His is in the 50s.
I think you're right.
But I don't.
I did hear that.
I don't know if that activates in January. It might be because it's low. It might be that it's one that only activates in the summer.
I do know that they're trying to get him to sign a new contract, which he hasn't done yet. But
right.
Sorry.
We do know that Bournemouth have a release clause that is active in January. So effectively, I'm not sure you are overpaying. I think Semenyo is, by the market standard, he is a £65 million player. He's not. It's overpriced. Maybe to everybody's overpriced in the Prem, but that's not overpriced for what he's doing and what he's done for the last 2 seasons. So if he's available in January and there is a release clause, my argument would be, even though it doesn't make sense, like these signings don't make sense because we are hugely stacked with wide players, but yeah, you sign both. You go and you sign both.
You're preaching to the choir. Go on, carry on. Sorry,
but it's not 100 million marquee. It's a 65 million and 50 million. So it's only 115 million. It's only 15 million more, and you've got 2 Prem proven fantastic wide players. Now you've got a left-sided player of quality. Now you've got a rotation option with Kudus. Njai can play off both sides. Semenyo can play off both sides. It's 115 million. We'll never do it, and it's not going to happen. But that's where the new structure, the Lewis family, our Tottenham different. It's not 30 million, 45, like Marlon just said. It's 50 and 60, and you go get it done. And we're only doing it because it's release clauses.
And Semenyo makes sense in the fact that he's homegrown.
Yeah.
He doesn't come in as an overseas player, which we're kind of struggling with at the moment. So Semenyo makes perfect sense. So actually, you're saying 65, but actually it helps us longer term with this, what's going on. So at the club at the moment where we've got none.
But he's not club trained, is he? So
he's not club trained, but at least we get more. Who are our homegrown players? We ain't got many.
I think we're okay homegrown. It's club trained that we're struggling with, and it's the European list that's the one that we're struggling with. But
when does it kick into, like for Sarr, for example? When does he become club trained? Is that next season or is it?
No season. He becomes an overseas player next season, doesn't he?
I
he
thought
missed out.
Club trained. I thought we bought.
No, so if we'd bought him a day earlier,
is it?
Yeah, so something stupid like that. If I remember correctly, I read if we'd bought him a day earlier, it would have kicked in. He would have been the 3 years, but because we bought him a day later, it turns out that he's going to go as an overseas player next year.
I see. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense now because I thought there was going to be 1 or 2 players next season. But anyway, back to this season, like you said, I think I would take both personally. I think if we're serious, the only thing is Kulusevski. I don't know when he's going to come back. I reckon January. Like that's my guess.
Well, if it's Kulusevski after injuries, he's back next season. As in when we'll get the best of Kulu, not the Kulu.
So do you think they're looking at it like that? Where because Maddison also, he's a player that doesn't stay fully fit. And I remember when we went for Gibbs White, we kind of accelerated it when Maddison got injured. But I feel like regardless if Maddison was fit or not, I think we still would have gone for Gibbs White because I think Maddison, even under Ange, he was up and down in terms of fitness. He wasn't always fit and he got hooked a lot of the times to kind of preserve his fitness, in my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? But I thought like when they were looking at Gibbs White, they wanted a more of a robust player, someone that would last the season, wouldn't pick up as many injuries. And maybe that's why they were going for that kind of physicality. Do you know what I mean?
Until Gibbs White put on the Spurs shirt.
Yeah. True. Very true. Very true. Very true. But like, yeah, I still think that it's a mad one. I don't know. This January, I don't know what's going to happen. I've got no idea. I don't know if we're going to go out and be serious and try and get a marquee. Well, not a marquee, but you know what I'm saying? A play of intent, a statement.
It's very weird that Bournemouth have kind of allowed it to be released about the release clause all of a sudden a month before the window opened. Well, 6 weeks before the window opens.
I think he's asked to maybe leave. I think maybe that's what's happened. I mean, like I think maybe one of the agents are being contacted and he's realized that, these big clubs are coming in for him and he wants to move.
Would it be? But I'm just trying to think of the clubs that it could be the suitors. Obviously, Arsenal
have to get rid of Martinelli and or Martinelli or Trossard for them able to make
Martinelli. They can get rid of to Saudi because they wanted him last summer, I believe. So they've kind of got a get out of jail free card there. But Liverpool is a bit a weird one.
It's a bit of a weird one because obviously
Gakpo,
Gakpo, or like what do they do with Verts? Like for example, that's the conundrum because I reckon they will start to look for Isak and Ekitike playing in a 2 at some point. I honestly think that. So, Ekitike played on the left.
Yeah, he plays. He can play on the left.
That's an option too.
Unless it's a replacement for Salah.
This is it.
I know Semenyo plays on the left, but
if you see the amount of goals he's got from the right, do you know what I mean? It would make sense. Do you know what I mean?
So maybe Tottenham are not even in the running.
Yeah, maybe we're not. Maybe we're not.
It's also why you release. There's a couple of reasons why you might release the clause. Is that it could have been a stipulation that when he signed the contract in the summer that it would be made public. So it's a come and get me. I'm signing for you now. I'll be here till January at least.
I agree.
But it's a come and get me.
And it's something, and it is something Bournemouth do because of, is it Hoyston last year with Real Madrid? Everyone knew it was 50 million, and Real Madrid went, all right,
Arsenal Man United bid 50 million for Semenyo, but that was rejected. And then I think he also signed the deal with the clause in it at the time, and I think that's when we went for him before we went for Kudus. In fact, I think that was the very first signing we went for in Semenyo, but they quoted more than 60 million, and we bid it for 50, and they went higher, and then before you knew it, he signed a new deal, and I was like, yeah, that's dead in the water.
And West Ham were in financial trouble per Tottenham special.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, who knows, man? Things could change. But another thing you mentioned last week, just moving away from the transfer window, you mentioned Van der Ven, and you said about him being a left back, Marlon, as well.
Yes, I did.
And obviously on the weekends, there's been a lot of clips floating around on X of him doing that fantastic run as a left back down that side. So the question is, do you think that's something we could look at now that that clip's gone viral? Do you think that's something that the coaching staff might look at, potentially putting Van der Ven as a makeshift left back when Udogie's not fit? Not saying we rinse him there like he's a starter, but as a utility, he could start featuring out there. Or do you think it's too much of a risk for his hamstrings?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm not massively sold on the idea of him playing out there. If you had all of our centre halves fully fit and we were happy that Takai and Dragushin and Ben Davies were coming in and doing bits at the levels they needed to do them, like, if
he's been gone for time. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, he's picked up an injury. He's never injured until obviously we actually need him, and then he's gone. But it's one of those things. You don't necessarily want him out there for us. You want him in the middle. He's been much better this season as well, which has been great to see. He's the one player you can point to in the entire squad, and you can say whether it's himself, but you can probably give the coaching staff some kudos and say they've improved him. He looks angry. He looks aggressive. He looks like he's growing into the centre half he should be for his size. Yeah. And he's winning balls in the air. He's scoring goals. He's our top scorer. He's moving on. He's going to another level. He's doing the defensive bits. He's brilliant running with the ball and doing little bits and pieces. He's, on the ball passing is not Romero levels, but he's doing all the things you want to see in terms of him going up. And that's why I don't necessarily want to see him farmed out on the left-hand side unless we've got really good cover options in the middle. And I don't think we do at this minute in time.
Marlon?
So for me, it depends when Dragushin comes back, and obviously, what's his name? Danso's already around, and Romero's fully fit. Because for me, you can clearly see what we're like when you doggies in the team. Now, there's no point putting Van der Ven in the team, and we've got nothing on that left side, and we've got nothing going forward. And potentially offensively, he is very good, and he can give us that balance. Now, I wouldn't have done it for the last month because there's no point. We just had nobody. Spence had to play there. You had Van der Ven and then you had Danso. Romero's literally come back in the last game. So when we get to a point that we've got enough centre backs, instead of when your doggie's not fit and they need to rotate out, that's when I farm him out to the left. And the reason why I do that is because I've seen enough of him now at left back. Even when he's played for us, I think he's had 2 or 3 games for us at left back. He's a threat. He's a big threat going forward. And going by the goal he scored against Copenhagen, imagine him doing that on the left. Imagine him running up against a right back, doing that. And I know everyone's going to say it's very Bow-esque, but no defender wants a big, especially his side, running at you. And I think he could cause more chaos in the other team's box, which means that we actually don't need him to defend, because our centre-backs won't be defending because we'll be such a threat going forward and be able to the balance of play. With Kudus on the left, depending on who the left winger is, they're going to cut inside. And then you've got someone who, like Ethan Pinnock was for Brentford, someone who's out on that left, who doesn't need to be the best cross-from ball. He just needs to be a threat in that box. And that's the reason why I'd farm him out. We'll farm him out there on the left if we can get Danso and one other person, another centre-back, and that includes Romero as well, fit. Otherwise, you have to keep him centre-back. Because we don't use his pace at centre-back anymore. And I think that's another reason what JJ said, why he's been the most improved defender this season, because we're not using his pace at centre-back. We're actually using him to defend. And that seems to be the difference this year. And I think you said it a few weeks back when you said that after one of the games, Frank said he wants him to score more with his head because that was his biggest weakness. And that's what he's done. So you can clearly see they're working on him. But for me, if there came an opportunity that we could play him on the left when your doggie's not 100% fit, and stop farming and stop putting Spence out there, basically, because you can clearly see where the dynamics is not going unless we go and sign a better left winger.
We are linked to a centre-back at the moment from Wolfsburg, funny enough. And he played at Mickey's old club. So, he's a Greek player, quite young as well. I think he's a young Greek player, but we're looking at him. He's a left-sided centre-back with a left foot. So maybe their thinking is that they bring this centre-back in to kind of be an understudy for Mickey Van der Ven, or that allows.
Just quick question for JJ. Do you not think that Van der Ven's attacking prowess going forward though could be a major threat in major years, like in years to come? That actually he's going to be better as a forward-thinking player than he is as a centre-back.
Look, he's clearly got something truly unique in terms of that stature and that ability to move at pace and really good technicality, right? Being able to manipulate the ball at those paces. But what I would say is it's not particularly difficult to stop what he's doing. And I don't mean he's pushed the ball in front of him and he's running and he's away from you. I'm not talking about that moment in time, but it is quite easy if he starts at left back for an opposition to set up in a way that he's not going to allow him to do those lung busting runs. All you do is you allow him 10 yards of space in front of you, not behind you. So you stand your right-sided player 10 yards in front of your fullback and you're like, go on, run from your own half all the way through and then cross the ball or have a finish.
So would that not depend, for me, I'm just looking at it, so you make a great point, but would that not depend on who that left forward is? Because they have to make that right back make a decision. Because yes, in theory, yes, that could work. But if, say it's Odeber and he plays more inside, and then you've got Richarlison, or maybe Solanke. Let's take Solanke, not Moani. Let's take Richarlison out of the equation. So if you're a right back or a right back at that precise moment and you see Odegaard coming in the middle, have you not then got to make a decision? Do I go out to Van de Ven and let him have the space, like you said, or do I make sure there's no yards space behind him, and then kind of you have the trying to explain this better, but as in the right backs either got to go out wide or they've got to come in, which means that if they're going to take up Van de Ven's spot, that leaves Odegaard, whoever that left winger is, the space to get in that box. So actually, there's a double threat there.
Yeah, you'd need someone a lot better on the left-hand side to deploy to make it more effective and more efficient. You're going to need somebody who's going to be a much better ball carrier in front of Van de Ven to be able to bring the ball inside, or to come back out to provide pockets of space and to move players around in the way that you're talking, that we don't currently have, in my opinion, on the left-hand side. And the other side of it is, if you've got a left-sided player who does predominantly come inside and tuck in, you still allow the right-sided player of the opposition and the right-sided defender to sit deep and to sit on the inside. And then what you're asking Mickey Van de Ven to do is run round them on the outside and provide crosses. And I've not seen any evidence that Mickey Van de Ven's got a wicked cross on him. I've also seen no evidence whatsoever that he can link up or get involved in a rotation high up the pitch. So again, these are all, he's got one particular skill set, which I don't know how often he can deploy it, but because he's now done it twice, everybody is kind of like really excited that this could be another string to how we go forward. I just think it won't take very long for teams to think, look,
I think it's because for me, I think for me, where I think there was the 2 games, but I know it was against Burnley and Sheffield United towards the end of Ange's first season, where he was deployed at left back. Holland, we see him play left back. So they're clearly, for me, it's and what everyone, the crossing ability, your doggy can't cross either. So I'm looking at Van de Ven in a very much of a doggy style, where they will just get in certain positions on that left sided and be able to play balls across the floor, because because I always when it comes to your doggy, what does he do that's not different from Van de Ven? Like, they pretty much are quite similar in left backs, except Van de Ven's probably way more quicker.
Yeah, Udoggy's he's a fantastic fullback defender as well.
Yeah,
and he's technically, his close control to me looks like far superior to Mickey Van de Ven's as well. So yeah, when you get into those high up areas, it's fine margins. And again, Destiny Udoggy is by far our best attacking threat on that left hand side going forward.
Yeah,
and it's one of those where Holland, the Netherlands use him. They use him out there on the left hand side, and that's more trying to get all your best players out on the football pitch, as opposed to that necessarily being the best fit. But yeah, he had another lung busting run, went all the way up, and they had to foul him to bring him down. But I don't know if he did anything else. I didn't watch the game, right? So I had no idea whether across 90 plus minutes he did anything from an attacking perspective in that left back role. So anybody that saw the game can fill that in. I'm really reticent. It's like I see people talking about, right, Romero's got to play CDM. He's got to get in that midfield because he's got the passing, but he should be in there breaking up play. Mickey Van de Ven's going to go out to left back. Kudus got to play in the number 10, and if Xavi's not in there, and it's because
White when you are. Don't forget that.
It's
don't forget that. Go on.
It's so tempting to kind of like to computer game football players because they are so good and they've got these skill sets. But when you see bodies of evidence, these coaches are not stupid. They know what they're doing. And even though you're banging your head against the table going, you've got to play Romero as a defensive midfielder, the fact that nobody has ever done it has to tell you something.
Yeah. No,
it's got to be a bit of evidence about.
And the only evidence. I'm sorry, just the only evidence. But out of all the sayings, I get exactly what you're saying. But out of all of it, the only evidence that we've got out of all of it is that Van de Ven has played left back.
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely true. I'm not saying he can't do it.
He can't. Yeah. I get why people poo-poo it, but I look at it in the sense of when you look at this team and how balanced it is when we do have a left back, and it's not to say, I'm not going to Ben Davis out there because it might work, especially if
that's what I'm saying, Mark. I think that's
Porro,
what we're looking
if you
at.
put Porro,
The player from Germany who's.
I'm surprised they're not going for Anthony. Is it Anthony Robinson from Fulham?
But that's the left back for left back. But I think what they're trying to do is have a cover for Mickey van der Ven, a left-footed sided centre back.
Well, we need it anyway.
Yeah, we need it anyway. Exactly. So I think their thinking is bring a centre back in that can cover Mickey van der Ven, and then you might see some rotation between Mickey van der Ven and Udogie at times, or even in a game you might see, because I've seen Udogie drop back, sit back at times, and just defend a little bit deeper. Do you know what I'm saying? And that releases the other side. So, for example, we play with a 3-2 in possession. The right-sided fullback would push on and bomb on. Do you know what I'm saying? And with Mickey van der Ven there, you could equally make him sit as a part of a 3, and then equally the reverse would happen where Mickey van der Ven would bomb on as a left back. So no position is literally fixed, and it keeps the opponents guessing, because how do you pick up the spare man? It's all about the third man runs. And so if you use Mickey van der Ven running from deep, it's harder to pick him up. They don't know when he's going to do it. It's a bit more unpredictable. So I kind of like the way where, we're not starting Mickey van der Ven as a left back. He can actually, in the game, become left back, and someone else can cover him when he does those runs. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just my opinion in it. But I was going to say also, Tel's being linked to Roma. Would you sell him? And if you was to sell him, how much would you sell him for? Like 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50? What would you think?
Well, one, you get the money you paid for him. Go back. That's what you know. That's worse.
Are we allowed to set the price? If that's how it works, he's the next 100 million signing, and you can have him.
That's what it is for some people. So if you want to set the price, if you think, do you think he will blow up? Basically, JJ, do you think? Because obviously the whole Troy Parrott thing, everyone's talking about that at the moment. He scored a Hattie, and even before that, he played against Italy, was it? And he scored against them. Portugal. He scored against Portugal and Hungary back to back. Obviously, he's done.
But but that's just 2 games.
But they're saying Dutch league, he's doing little bits there,
Yeah, but he came and played it. He said how many games against us, and what did he do against us? Who did we play him last year as well?
Yeah,
we played him under Ange, of all people who give you the freedom, and he had a terrible game.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a goal scorer, because you can blatantly see that he could score goals. The problem was whether he was physically ready for the Premier League, and whether he'd be physically ready now. And my thing right now would be he's not physically ready for the Premier League. That's why he is in Holland. And he's not tearing it up in Holland. He's doing well, and he's doing bits, and what he needs to do, and needs to score goals. But it's not a case of that Premier League teams are looking at him going, actually, he's going to be suited to the Premier League.
So what? You don't think he'll get into any Premier League team at the moment?
What team will he get into? Is the question.
Would he not get into, let's say,
he wouldn't get. So let's take Sunderland, who bought probably from, was it Feyenoord? Who did they buy him on?
Yeah.
Feyenoord. He doesn't get into their team.
Okay. West Ham. Do they need a striker? Would you get West Ham?
Look. You don't give West Ham strikers for the careers to be ruined. West Ham haven't bought a striker that scored more than 10 goals, or is it 5 or something? They've got such a ridiculous stat of the last 20 strikers they've bought have not scored more than 5 goals in a season. Yeah. Something as stupid as that. West Ham fan will tell you it's a terrible stat.
That's crazy. So what? He's not prem ready then, guys? Is that what we're saying? Parrott, Mr. Hype.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
But the games that he's had against us have not been. He hasn't shone, and he's not gone and gone. You should regret. Like with Marcus Edwards. Do you remember when he played against us for Sporting? We all went a little bit, right? And he's now. But
Madueke is a proper example of he turned us inside out. He might be available for the North London derby as well, but that's another thing there. But
it's not to say Parrott's not a good player.
No.
It's just
the realness.
But love what he done. Like, to be honest, I love the fact what he done.
I told you.
Yeah. I love what he done for Ireland. Absolutely loved it, because I always like to see our old players, especially when they go into international. But it has taken him a while, and it's not the fact he's turning down. He's not pulling up trees in Holland either. He's not. When you look at what Ibrahimovic and all them guys were doing at Ajax and Suarez, they were hitting numbers that were elite level. Parrott's not hitting that level. He's hitting standard levels where you'd be happy with you and your team kind of scenario. But well played.
I think keep your eye on Parrott, and it doesn't necessarily mean he's ready for the Prem or he's ready to come back, but keep your eye on him, because if he gets a move to a better league and he plays for a better team and then he scores goals, you are talking about a player who's finally kind of grown into himself as a striker and as a player. He's got there finally. He's added the physicality, the ability he always had, and then a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of experience, and he's found it. So yeah, just keep your eye on him. But yeah, I think anybody going, we shouldn't have sold him. That's, again, it's just wishful thinking, right? Where was he going to get the minutes that's led him here?
Yeah, he was linked to Everton. That's what it was. Well,
but Everton, again, he wouldn't fit in at Everton because of Moyes likes a physical guy up front. Parrott's not physical. That's why Ndiaye is doing so well, because he's on the wing, and he's got Beto. I can't remember the other guy, but they're physical players. Barry, like, they don't need to score goals. They just need to be able to give the defenders a bit of hassle.
Would you guys start Tel over Richarlison or not?
Depends who's available. Right now, I think both are playing, aren't they?
Well, no, it could possibly be Richarlison and Odobert.
Yeah.
Just saying. Because that's what came on. Remember, Odobert, his last game was against Man United. He came on. Tel scored, I think, today. It was a penalty, though. But, he scored today for France under 21s. And, people were saying that, when the doggy and Odobert play on the left, it gives us a bit more width. So, and remember, Richarlison started that first half on the left, and it didn't quite work. Obviously, he got the goal, but it was not, through that Odobert kind of shot that he got the little flick on.
Tel for me, I think it's a bit like the Man United game. He needs to come on, but he needs to come on a little bit earlier when it's going against us, and he can just change it. But you can either do it on the left or up front. But to physically play him up front, if I go back to the Leeds game, he scored his goal. I think there was another chance he had, but actually across the 45 minutes, he didn't actually do much. And against Arsenal, we can't have him. Like, Tel's not the answer. For me, definitely not the answer against Arsenal. And I'd reluctantly look. I know I've been bashing him most of the last couple of weeks, but it has to be Richarlison no matter what. And then you bring on Tel later.
Are you playing Richie up front?
Yeah, Richie has to be up front. We've got no choice. Like, I just don't trust Tel enough to do it. This is not Leeds. This is Arsenal, and I think we need, like we were talking earlier, if they're going to be very physical, and out of the two, Tel's not physical.
So that game when he came on against Man United and he did the little touch and he span off, got the shot off, that didn't really do much for you.
No, because I need to see it more. I need to see it more on a regular basis, and it was a great finish, great turn. And I remember I've been calling him to play left wing for weeks because I want to see him on the left, but I'm not having him as a forward.
Interesting.
I don't even like him up front. I don't think he's very good up front.
So if you had a choice between Tel and Odobert on the left, are you choosing Tel or Odobert?
For this game, I probably would go for Odobert because he's played out there more. He's more knows the system. Where Frank hasn't really put him out there at all. Like, I think he's put him out there for 10 minutes. I can't even remember who that was against at home. But doesn't really bring on Tel as his first fault either. I felt like him coming on against Manchester United was a bit of a desperation.
Oh, really?
Because he just needs to throw anything out there and see if it's stuck. And the goal just literally, he was like, oh, okay. this is all right. And then Richarlison scored as well. But I think it was just literally the game was becoming such a lull, and we weren't getting anything on target.
All right. Do you feel the same, JJ? Before I ask my next question, do you feel the same, or do you got a different opinion on it?
I mean, it's so hard to say. Odegaard definitely did better when he came on in the game against Man United. He had, you know, one of his better kind of like cameos in that game. It's one of those. I'm in an unfortunate situation where I'm not keen on either. Right, so I'm looking at both the options and I'm thinking, right, there's not one where I'm excited about it, and I'm thinking, oh, you know, I've got a decision to make. So, you know, with that, this is the one area that I can see, like, just having thought through the injuries that we've got. This is the one area I can see Thomas Frank doing something slightly different to what Arsenal might be expecting us to do, which is Richie off the left and Tel up front. It's the one tweak, it's the one difference, and I just think it's normally Timber, right, who plays on the right hand side, and he's their strongest. Like, they're stronger on that side defensively. And just Richarlison maybe physically occupying him, because he's not going to run him. He's not going to play him behind.
No,
but just the physical occupation of that space.
And he needs to pin him back as well, because he doesn't play with Saka.
Yeah. So and again, the reason that Timber does so much of the defensive work is because Saka doesn't do any defensive work, right? So you're unlikely to be doubled up on. It's the one area I could potentially see, right? Deploy Richie on the left, occupy Timber, hopefully not have two players on him, and then Matisse Tel up front, because we've got no other option. And then obviously Kudus on the right, and we'll predominantly play down the right hand side.
So all right, just a last question for myself on this whole Tel Odegaard situation. In a Spurs career, do you guys not see them like progressing, in your opinion? Or do you think Spurs will? Because look, if you look at Tel, I think Frank looks at him as a forward, and I think he looks at Odegaard as a winger. Is there a world where they develop and they be a success at Spurs, or in your opinion, is no, it's not the case?
It could happen.
What kind of question is that? Like, really? I've got more faith in Tel than I do Odegaard.
Interesting.
I know what I've seen of the last few games. I know people said he's playing well and whatnot, but I just can't see what everyone else is seeing.
Fair enough.
I think he's played okay, but I just can't see. I don't know if it's because he's come from Burnley, and I don't know. There's something just not clicking with Odegaard for me. And I don't know what it is. I think it's his end product. I think he's killing me a little bit, and I'm thinking, okay, he put the cross in for Romero and Richarlison in the last game, but he won't do that now for another 5 or 6 games. And I'm like,
okay.
And then he's had his big injury on top, so I know he's slowly coming back from that. So I'm giving him time, but if I'm looking at, I reckon Odegaard will be one of them players in about 2-3 years' time. He'll be shipped out to some club in France on loan, and we'll never hear of him again.
Fair enough. JJ, Tel or Odegaard, who's going to shine? If you had to pick one, who do you think would make it out of the two?
I mean, it's really difficult. They could.
I'm asking it.
they could both make it. They could both do something. They could both leave Tottenham and be brilliant, which is the more likely scenario. But I'm just trying to think what evidence, what to Marlon's point, like what have we seen that tells us, you know, that just those couple of moments. I think we've already seen Xavi Simons, for example, show us little glimpses of why people are so excited about him. Yeah. Right, and why he was sold for 60 million. There's little glimpses. There's no guarantee he's going to do it, but there's little glimpses that you say to yourself, okay, I can see it. I can see what it is. And if he learns to put that down consistently, he's going to be brilliant. I'm not sure what we've seen. We've seen Matisse Tel can finish like Jermaine Defoe. So if you want Tottenham throwback vibes, then great. He's got little backlift, loads of power, good mechanics. Wonderful. But have we seen anything that you're kind of like you're clinging on to from either of them and going, yeah, I can see it. If only he could do this. It's more these two. It'll come out of nowhere for me. It will be a run of games and a, you know, all of a sudden it just
those run of games. Like that's the thing I'm trying to get at. Do you think? Because I think out of the two of them, in my opinion, Odobert has more of a chance to get a run of games because we haven't really got anyone that's pinning down that left wing position. But centre forwards, if Moani gets back to fitness, because obviously he's got the jaw thing, like he had a little injury there, he could potentially be back in, let's say, 3 weeks. And then Tel's going against Richarlison and Moani again. And then Solanke could possibly be fit back in the new year.
Yeah.
And in January, who knows, we might look for a centre forward because we was linked to Tony, but we all know that that's not going to happen now. But do you know what I'm trying to say? So out of the two of them, I'm thinking maybe Odobert might have, you know, more of a run in the team, which then gives them more time to develop. But I don't know. That's just my thinking, that logic behind it.
Yeah.
I think with Odobert, I think that game against Copenhagen, and I know he scored. If you're going to shine and be, you know, be able to do, I thought out of the two, Brendan Johnson seemed to be more of the threat.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and I think the last 20 minutes against Man United was probably the best I've seen him deliverable.
Yeah, he had
so I'm looking at it going, okay, he's improving, but will he be able to do it on a consistent basis? And I'm just not sure. I'm not entirely sure. Where with Tel, if I reckon he'll go somewhere and it will click. Whether it will be at Spurs or not, I'm not sure. But Tel will be somewhere. I just don't think Spurs have the patience. Spurs are not the club for him where he needs to develop right now because where Tottenham are trying to be. We haven't got time to develop him. If Harry Kane was still about, maybe. Yeah. But he's not here. And we are crying out for goals, forwards, and we ain't got time to develop someone of that age where they're very raw. And we want to be playing Champions League football every season. But Tel will be some, I think, I know a lot of people go, what have you seen in Tel? What, you know, there's just something, Tel's finishing. If he can get that on a more consistent basis somewhere, and get in his positions, because even like you think about the chance he missed against Man United after he scored. Yeah. If he gets that clean, that's goal. Not that's two. It would have been 2-1 quite quickly. Yeah. See, for me, there is something. He rushes a lot, and I think that's
time though. Like, the more experience he has, I think he'll get that composure and be able to. But it's like the easier chances that I've seen him miss. And you're like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, because like let's take
confidence
like why we use Copenhagen as an example, because Copenhagen allowed us to play, and for me, I didn't see much from Odobert. It was more Kolo Muani. Everyone went, "Oh, hold on, you actually are quite decent." Xavi got man of the match. Going back to JJ's point, you've seen something. Brendan Johnson scored his goals and he got sent off, but we knew that with Brennan. With Odobert, he scored, but that was all down to Muani.
Well, he did score, to be fair, in Europa. I think was it against Frankfurt or
who?
Odobert. He got the two.
Yeah, last year. Yeah. But again, that's like a year ago.
This is the problem. Of course, it's too far apart. But I mean, he hasn't had that many starts this season in his.
But he's had more of a consistent run this season.
He's had more of a consistent run. But I mean, in terms of like, I think like Odobert needs a run of games where he just starts maybe like 5 to 8 games as a left winger up until that January window comes, and then we have that conversation. But yeah, that's just my thing on it with the Odobert. I agree with you in Tel. I think with Tel, he needs time and experience. Whether this is the right club for him to get that development, that's the question mark in my opinion. But we do have the last point I'm going to make. 5 big games coming up, in my opinion, because obviously Arsenal, North London derby Sunday. Me and Marlon will be doing a watch along for that, so make sure you check that out.
Oh, you're doing it now?
I thought you saw. I thought you.
I didn't know you were doing it. I'll be honest.
No, I'm there, man. I'm there. But yeah, we've obviously got PSG after that game. So I'm just wondering, like, after PSG, we've got Fulham at home, and that's the game I'm looking at more so. I mean, obviously, the North London derby is massive. PSG again, they're two big games, but potentially I could see us losing both. Not to be like pessimistic, but I'm looking at it as without my Spurs hat on, and I'm thinking Fulham for me is the must win. Do you get it? Because I think out of games, yeah, we need performance at home. That's where we need Frank to kind of get that one right. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough.
And Fulham have been terrible,
very bad. So I'm looking at the Fulham game, and then after Fulham, we've got Brentford? We've got Newcastle away, and then we've got Brentford. And Brentford seem to be a bit of a, I don't know about you guys, but Brentford look a bit tricky from what I've been watching with Keith Andrews. He surprised me a lot. So that's what I'm saying. The next 5 games for me is quite big. Newcastle, they've been off form, but I think by the time we play them, they will have both of their fullbacks back in Livramento and Hall. And that's been making a massive difference to the way they play. But go on, sorry. Go on.
But Brentford, I know what you're saying about Brentford being tricky, but they've been crap away from home as well. So the next 2 home games, Fulham and Brentford, is a time for
Frank's got to turn up.
We've got to turn up for those 2 because those 2 are probably the 2 teams apart from Burnley who we've played that you want coming to them and obviously Forest, but for different reasons. But those are the teams you want to be coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and playing because their away form is they're Jekyll and Hyde. Especially Fulham. Fulham have been absolutely terrible because the manager won't sign a new contract. Was it Everton they played and they were so bad. They were so terrible. And then obviously Brentford, if you look at most of the fixtures this year where people are praising Keith Andrews, has been at home.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not been away from home. As they're one of the few teams to lose to Nottingham Forest
away
from home
so
too.
Next 5 games, how many points do we get, including Champions League?
We lose to Paris. I think we lose that.
Arsenal? What do you reckon?
I can't comment on the Guna game.
All right, JJ. Arsenal, Paris.
What Tottenham will do is they'll go and get the points you think they'll get, but they won't get them against the teams you think, right?
Yeah.
So we will get a point against that lot on Sunday. You know, one will hit Richarlison in the back of the head in the 90th minute and we'll equalise. And then
beat Paris 3-0.
Like PSG will sneak 3 counter-attacking goals, and then we'll have an awful performance and lose 2-0 to Fulham. And you know, and
beat Newcastle a 1-0 for some strange reason, and then get smashed by Brentford at home.
Yeah, it'll be because you just don't know which Tottenham is going to turn up and which performance we're going to put out and which mistakes we're going to make today. We're in transitional phase right now, so yeah, I'd like how many points? I have literally no idea. All I'm hoping for and I'm clinging to is go into the North London derby, and even if we get pummeled, come out of that game going, well, we gave it a go. We ran hard. We were a bit unlucky. They were very good. But just go in and put a performance.
JJ, I don't think Arsenal. So like before when under Ange, Arsenal would completely they'd score the goals. They didn't play well, but they'd scored when we got beat and stuff. I don't think Arsenal had it in them to pummel us at the moment. And I know that sounds really weird and strange, but I feel like we might be their kryptonite in the way we play.
Oh, I don't know. I just don't let them score a set piece in the first 5 minutes. Just don't let them swing a corner under the bar with Vicario flapping about.
I still worry about Timber. I'm not gonna lie. I know Gabriel's gone, but Timber, he's another worry for me in that piece.
But this is why we need to. This is why I got what JJ was saying earlier. If you put Richarlison at left back, you want to pin Timber's back. I know he's a good defender, but you want to pin him back so he's not in that attacking third, backing up Saka. Because I know Saka hasn't played the whole season, but his assists and goals this year have been nowhere near what Saka's level.
You're right.
Saka's actually been better for England than he has for Arsenal.
So is Eze. I think Eze's been better for England.
Eze's been better for So they both. Well, we won't talk about Eze right now. I want him because
I can see it happening.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Him just standing there like that.
It's been a great one. End the stream. But no, on a positive, I do agree in terms of like. So I feel like Arsenal, when it comes to set pieces, that's how they change the momentum of the game. At times, they change the game state because they get. There's so many games where they've won, but they've scored the set piece first, and then if you take that set piece out of the equation, they're not blowing teams away. Like, you know what I mean?
This is why I said I don't think we'll get battered. Yeah, they've been struck. Like we said, they've scored 8 open
goals.
Season, and they've scored 20 goals. So you blatantly know where it's all coming from. Everything's coming from set piece, and it's a massive strength. And I think, was it Manchester United last year at the Emirates when they tried to counteract that? They weren't great at it because Man United were crap. But you have to just make sure they don't score a set piece. But an interesting thing is Tottenham and Arsenal both do better in the second half of games.
Yeah, it's true. And I also think, last thing I'll say is North London derby, all form goes out the window. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the passion you can never really predict it, man.
Oh, yeah, because last year's game at the Emirates, Arsenal were terrible, but Kingsley obviously made the mistake for the goal. We scored early, and they scored the set piece, didn't they? They come back. Was it Gabriel that scored the equaliser? And you're like, what the hell? And it was like typical. But yeah, JJ's right. We just can't concede from the set piece.
It's that simple, guys.
It is literally that simple.
Lock down those errors. Lock down those individual errors. If everybody plays to their potential, we can give them a game.
If we make an error, who is it likely to come from?
Benton, Coyle, Paulinho.
Do you think so? Centre.
Vicario, Porro giving it away easily. Romero runs off up front to kick somebody.
I think if we're going to make a mistake in a game like this, it always comes from an unlikely source. It never usually comes from the player that we expect it to. So it won't come from someone like Richarlison. It won't come from Vicario because we've been moaning about him all season. It'll be someone stupid like who we've been praising, like Van der Ven, Kudus, or Paulinho. It'll be one of those three.
I hope they make a mistake and we score a goal.
They usually do, but usually Sonny's there. Yeah. We ain't got Sonny this time.
They've got a red card in them. They love a red card against us. That's normally our best route to a result is that they lose their heads.
But we've got to put it on Rare. Like you saw what Sunderland did to him. We've got to put it on him.
Stuck in 2 months, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very indecisive, which I didn't realize was part of his game. But then that's how he started off his Arsenal career. Very indecisive. But we've got to put it on him in areas that he doesn't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Wait, any other thing else to say? I mean, I got a lot to say, but I think I'm going to wrap it up, man. Big up to the chat, man.
Bring on Sunday, man.
That's what I'm saying. Bring on Sunday, man. We can do this. We can do this.
Look, I personally do believe we might be the kryptonite to their football.
Hear it.
But at the same time, I can see them still beating us. But we'll see. I personally think they will.
You started off so positive, and then
it's because the thing is, once I get close to the game, and obviously I hate because it's on Sunday as well, and the build up for it, it's all about them. There's more pressure on them than there is us. There's so much pressure on them. It's whether this is where we're about to find out
whether they're bodies,
whether they, or not, because this is the game. They're top of the table. It's a North London derby. Spurs are probably more defensive than ever, and we are quite good away from home. And we're so opposite to what they like playing against.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a set piece, but we have been. Who did we concede against? Was it Everton? I know the goal was ruled out, but I don't think we've conceded many set pieces either.
Yeah, it was, yeah, Everton.
Yeah. So we will see. And Everton hadn't conceded many even, and they conceded 2. But yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out. I don't know. It depends on who we have in the midfield. Like you said, no Sarr, no Bergvall. I mean, Xavi's going to be in there. That means you're stuck with a left-sided side of the forward line that you don't want. You're stuck with a forward you don't
Hey,
want.
Marlon's is talking himself out of it again. In this stream.
But it's always the one, like JJ said, it could be the result we'd end up getting. Probably the worst team that we've ever gone there with.
Yeah. Man. JJ, any final thoughts?
Let's just go out and put on a performance Sunday so we can all enjoy, regardless of the result. Like, even if we don't get one.
Enjoy Christmas.
Yeah. Get anything out of the game and that's it. Cancel the season. We're good. We're done.
Yeah, I might have my little rum punch by the side already, you know. But yeah, man, listen, all I can say is that come on, you Spurs. And, well, it is what it is. But yeah, look, that's my final words. Anything to plug, JJ, before we shut down?
No, thanks for having me on, guys. If people want to jump over and check me out, YouTube at the Fulco, or sometimes I post sarcastic things on X as well about Tottenham mainly. But yeah, you can find me on there as well.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you'll find us back here next Monday. JJ's link will go in the chat probably at 12 o'clock tomorrow when I can send it to him. But yeah, we'll be back next Monday. Ash is back Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, since it's not his birthday this week. So he's not out celebrating, so he's back for the rivals this week. Yeah, and if you haven't checked out already, we have a video about how the fans are feeling about Thomas Frank as well this season, which JJ is part of as well. But make sure you check that out. But yeah, as always. All right, Ashley, got anything else coming up this week?
No, that's it, man. Yeah, man. That's it.
As they always say, please like, subscribe,